project, first awarded in 2021, have been reviewed upward to over 70 billion naira and 67 billion naira, respectively. The Senate says it will make the state police bill its top legislative priority when plenary resumes on Tuesday, with the constitutional amendment already transmitted to the 36th State House of Assembly for concurrence. Senate spokesman Adeyemi Aderamodu said lawmakers are determined to conclude the process within the lifespan of the 10th National Assembly in response to growing public demands for decentralized policing. Aderamodu added that the presidency supports the proposed reform as part of efforts to tackle Nigeria's security challenges. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has extended the nationwide continuous voter registration exercise by 2 weeks following requests from political parties, civil society groups, and other stakeholders. INEC National Commissioner Mohammed Haruna said the extension would also allow more eligible Nigerians to use the Commission's new self-service registration platform, which enables online voter registration and biometric capture. The Commission reaffirmed its commitment to a credible, inclusive, and technology-driven electoral process ahead of future elections. And now to Imo State, where the wife of the governor, Chioma Uzodinma, has called on traditional rulers, religious leaders, and wives of local government chairmen to take the lead in ending sexual and gender-based violence and reject harmful norms that fuel abuse and silence survivors. She made the call during the Nigeria Governors Spouses Forum and Ford Foundation state-level advocacy engagement on gender-based violence prevention in Owerri, the state capital. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ibe, reports.
The campaign against sexual and gender-based violence gained fresh momentum in Owerri as stakeholders from across Imo State gathered to strengthen grassroots action aimed at protecting women, girls, and vulnerable members of society. Addressing participants, the wife of the governor, Chioma Uzodinma, described the engagement as a decisive call to leadership, accountability, and collective action. She lamented that harmful practices and abuse have endured for generations because communities often tolerate or ignore them, stressing that lasting change can only happen when local leaders speak out and act.
Let me say this clearly, violence is not culture, abuse is not discipline, and protecting women and girls does not weaken society, it strengthens it. Faith and tradition has always been powerful forces for order, compassion, justice, and peace. When we speak, communities listen. When you lead by example, attitudes change, and harmful norms begin to disappear. This gathering is not about blame, it's about shared responsibility and our collective commitment to building safer communities.
Uzodinma urges wife of local government chairmen to serve as community gender-based violence champions, while charging traditional rulers and religious leaders to use their influence to challenge harmful practices, support survivors, and promote safe and peaceful communities.
As wives of local government chairmen, you stand at the intersection of governance and community life. You often hear the whispers before they become crises and notice the warning signs before they become painful statistics. This initiative to our revered traditional rulers and respected religious leaders, your influence is equally invaluable. Every society is shaped by the values it protects and the behaviors it corrects. Sexual and gender-based violence thrives where silence is mistaken for culture and where harm is excused as tradition.
Director of Women Affairs, Dr. Blessing Azubike, stressed the importance of sustained public enlightenment, prompt reporting of abuse, and stronger collaborations among families, communities, and institutions to prevent violence and protect victims.
So those deep-rooted norms and social norms that subordinate women and girls, we transfer them from generation to generation, and they are there.
Stakeholders say the battle against gender-based violence cannot be won by government alone, insisting that communities, traditional institutions, and faith leaders must unite to break the culture of silence, protect survivors, and send a clear message that violence has no place in society. From Owerri, I'm Marachi Ibe, Global TV News.
Now let's tell you that more Nigerians are returning home from South Africa as the federal government continues the voluntary evacuation of citizens willing to leave amidst the anti-migrant tension in the country. A director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ali Gombe, who received the returnees on behalf of the federal government, says Nigeria is committed to supporting them as they begin the process of reintegration. Our correspondent, Ubong Usoro, reports.
Another batch of 271 Nigerian returnees from South Africa has arrived at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, under the federal government evacuation program. The returnees were received by officials of the National Emergency Management Agency, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, the Nigeria Immigration Service, and other relevant agencies. Authorities immediately commenced documentation, profiling, and screening of the returnees as part of efforts to assess their immediate needs and facilitate their reintegration. Officials say the exercise will help determine the level of assistance required, including temporary accommodation and livelihood support.
We're here to welcome this third batch and to make them feel they are welcome. They are Nigerians, we love them and we miss them. We welcome them back home. For the remaining of our nationals that are in South Africa who are about to be evacuated, I'm pleased to inform you that the initial snag we had that caused this delay has been cleared.
It coordinates the agencies that are dealing with migration. And so we provide durable solutions, which means we provide psychosocial and mental health support. We provide livelihood trainings. We provide skills training. And today we are going to provide them with a starter pack. We call it Welcome Pack with all dignity kits.
Some of the returnees recounted their experiences in South Africa and expressed appreciation to the federal government for facilitating their return back home.
What they do to us is that once they notice that you are a foreigner, when we are doing a business, a nice business that has nothing to do with criminality, once they notice that you are progressing, they will find means to pull you down to destroy that business. What they do is that either they come to steal, to break your shop to steal, or to make sure that they kill the owner of that business.
No, xenophobia is no rest of mind. Fighting, killing, go to your country, stealing your things. You walk and you go. When you walk from here to here, papers. When you bring the papers, they will know, they will collect something, they will bribe and take everything.
The federal government says it remains committed to protecting the welfare of Nigerians abroad and will continue to support citizens who choose to return home. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
Now to environmental matters, where with the heavy rain already pounding communities across Nigeria, residents of the Federal Capital Territory are raising fresh concerns over the threat of flooding and calling for immediate action to avert another season of destruction. Our correspondent, Zara Unasir, tells us more.
As rainfall becomes heavier and more frequent, fears of flooding are rapidly growing in many parts of the country. Experts attribute the trend to climate change, which they say has altered rainfall patterns and triggered more intense downpours, capable of displacing families, destroying property and crippling livelihoods. Residents of the Federal Capital Territory insist that, while government must strengthen flood prevention measures and improve infrastructure, citizens also have a critical role to play in protecting the environment.
It's actually the intervention of government to intervene and help a lot of states for the issue of flooding across all the 36 states. That is what I think it should, if possible.
Yeah, about the flooding all over our states like Niger, Benue State, and what of you, we have to be very careful about the flooding, because if water come, you cannot even think whether you are rich or you are poor. You cannot take it for granted. But you know that people are passing through a lot. So if the government tell them something like this, because of the things that they are passing through, they don't even care. If you can remember 2 days back, there are things that happened in Ghana. Yes. If you watch all those videos, you see that if you see that people, properties, businesses go down. So we have to be very careful of this.
Across several communities, blocked drainage channels, indiscriminate waste disposal, and illegal construction on waterways continue to worsen the impact of heavy rainfall. Many residents say these human activities have turned seasonal rains into recurring disasters, leaving homes submerged and roads cut up year after year.
Because this is the right time to start preparing for it. Because places like Benue State, Kogi, Lagos, and Kano, they usually experience flooding. So I think government should intervene, and people should also avoid throwing waste into the drainages so that they will not be blockade and cause some of these floodings. So I think prevention is better than cure, so they say.
With focus pointing to more rainfall in the coming weeks, residents are urging authorities at all levels to move swiftly on preventive measures, while calling on Nigerians to embrace responsible environmental practices to reduce the risk of flooding. Zahra Unasr, Global TV News.
You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign, and sport stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to your Sunday weather update. We'll begin the day with a few morning thunderstorms triggered by overnight weather systems lingering across the country. The storms are expected to affect parts of Taraba before extending into Gombe, Bauchi, Kaduna, parts of Katsina, Zamfara, Kano, and Kebbi State. And across the north central region, residents in Plateau, the Federal Capital Territory, parts of Kwara, Kogi, Niger, and Nasarawa State should also expect morning showers and thunderstorms. For the south, widespread rainfall is expected with wet conditions likely across Cross River, Akwa Ibom, Lagos, and Ogun State. And then by afternoon into evening hours, thunderstorms will become more widespread across the country. Rain and thunderstorms will continue over much of the southern region and the north central state, while the northwest is expected to be increasingly active, with thunderstorms expected across parts of Bauchi, Gombe, and Adamawa State. And that's the forecast. Always remain alert for localized flooding and be weather aware. I am Akami Samarga.
Welcome back from that break, and now to business. The federal government has dismissed claims that it spent more than 8 trillion naira outside the approved budget, describing reports based on the IMF comments as misleading. Finance Minister Taiwo Oyedele said every federal government expenditure is backed by constitutional provisions and National Assembly approval, explaining that multi-year capital projects and budget rollovers are lawful components of public financial management. Oyedele maintained that Nigeria does not operate a shadow budget and challenged anyone making contrary claims to provide credible evidence. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC Plus, has agreed to raise oil production quotas by 188,000 barrels per day from August as Gulf producers gradually recover from disruptions caused by the Middle East conflict. The decision follows improved maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz after the ceasefire understanding between Iran and the United States subsidies in the first quarter of 2026, despite continued blackouts and challenges in the power sector. According to the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, the subsidy resulted from the government's decision to retain electricity tariff at July 2024 rates instead of implementing cost-reflective pricing. The Commission also disclosed that the national grid suffered one total collapse and one partial collapse during the period, causing widespread power outage. And now to news making rounds on the foreign scene. The United States has marked the 250th anniversary of its independence with nationwide celebrations as millions of Americans honored the country's history despite record-breaking temperature. In Washington, D.C., President Donald Trump used the occasion to praise America's achievement while also launching fresh attacks on his political opponents. The reports. Americans gathered on the National Mall in Washington to celebrate 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, with thousands braving a scorching heat wave to take part in the historic event. Patriotic displays, music, military flyovers, and celebrations filled the nation's capital as volunteers distributed water to crowds enduring temperatures that climbed up to 40 degrees Celsius. Many described the anniversary as a moment of pride, reflection, and gratitude for the country's journey over the past 2.5 centuries.
I remember growing up as a child when it was our 200th, and I still remember that. I was 9 years old in 3rd grade. I remember what I was wearing and everything. It was a big celebration. The schools prepared all year for the bicentennial, so I never even thought about the 250th. Now it's like 50 years later.
It's our day to celebrate us as a country. Not a lot of this is like we were just talking. This is a really short amount of time in the grand scheme of everything, and for us to be able to accomplish 250 years, separating from the Europeans and stuff like that. This is just like a super proudful thing.
We are celebrating America. I love America, born and raised here. It's not a perfect country, but I am proud to be American.
As celebrations continued, President Donald Trump addressed tens of thousands gathered on the National Mall after thunderstorms briefly delayed the event. The president paid tribute to generations of American veterans and described the United States as the greatest achievement in modern history, before turning to familiar campaign themes by criticizing what he called the growing threats of communists at home. His remarks also highlighted recent United States military operations abroad, as he argued that America remains stronger under his leadership.
Tonight, after 250 years, the spirit of 1776 still lives within us all. It still roars in the hearts of our nation's capital. It still burns in the heart of every patriot. Our warriors did not fight communism on battlefields across the world, only to have that menace rear its ugly head right back here in America. We're not going to let it happen.
The celebrations concluded with a massive firework display over Washington, even as extreme weather disrupted festivities in several cities across the country. While the anniversary united millions in celebration of America's history, it also underscored the political division that comes to shape the nation's future. Mukhtar. Now, millions of mourners have continued funeral ceremonies for Iran's late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, in Tehran, as political and military leaders joined prayers amidst tight security and lingering tensions following the recent conflict with the United States and Israel. The reports. Thousands of mourners gathered at Tehran's Grand Musalla, where Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's body lay in state on the second day of national funeral ceremonies. Worshippers prayed, waved Iranian flags, and chanted anti-American slogans as senior government officials joined the service. President Masoud Pezeshkian, Revolutionary Guard Commander Ahmed Vahidi, and other top government officials attended the prayers, while Shia cleric Jafar Sobhani led the religious service. Authorities declared a public holiday and expect more than 10 million people to participate in ceremonies across the capital. Khomeini's coffin, draped in Iranian flag and topped with his black turban, was displayed alongside the coffins of 4 relatives killed in the February airstrikes. However, his son and successor, Mujtaba Khamenei, was notably absent from the public ceremony, with reports indicating he is still recovering from injuries sustained during the attack. Security remained tight around the Grand Musalla as mourners received water and refreshment amidst temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. Officials also warned of possible crowd crushes as massive numbers continue to converge on funeral venue. Some mourners demanded justice and retaliation against those they blame for Khomeini's death, while delegations from regional allies, including Hezbollah, Hamas, and Yemen's Houthi movement, joined Iranian leaders to pay their respect. The funeral ceremonies continue with a procession through Tehran before Ayatollah Khomeini's body is moved to Qom, then Iraq, and finally to his hometown of Mashhad, where he will be buried later this week. Mukhtar Qasim, Global TV News. And now to the world of sport, where Nigeria's Kayinsola Ajayi has claimed the biggest victory of his career after defeating world champion Oblique Seville to win the men's 100 meters at the 2026 Poffontane Classic in Oregon. The 21-year-old clocked 9.84 seconds, the second fastest time in the world, to finish the season ahead of Seville and American sprinter Christine Coleman. The victory strengthens Ajayi's growing reputation as one of the world's leading sprinters ahead of the major championship later this year. Nigeria's Flamingos have defeated Benin Republic 3-2 in the first leg of the final qualifying round for the 2026 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in Morocco. Queen Joseph, Oluwakemi Adegbuyi, and Kindness Ifeanyi scored for Nigeria after the visitors had taken an early lead, giving the Flamingos a narrow advantage ahead of the return leg on July 11. The winner over the 2 legs will secure one of Africa's qualifying slots for next year's tournament. And finally, France and Morocco have booked their place in the quarterfinals of the 2026 FIFA World Cup after overcoming Paraguay and co-hosts Canada, respectively. France secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Paraguay through a second-half penalty from Kylian Mbappe, while Morocco produced a clinical display to beat Canada 3-0 with a brace from Azzedine Ounahi and a late strike from Soufiane Rahimi. The result ended Canada's historic campaign and extended Morocco's impressive run after their 2022 semi-final appearance. France will now face Morocco in a highly anticipated quarter-final clash. And that's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365. We're also on StarTimes channel 276. You can watch us on Free TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms, now displaying on your screen by using Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Qasim, saying a very big thank you for watching.